it weren't money we were after, it were livelihood. And not only for us, but for generations to come, for our children and their children and children's children. And it's proved right, because Barnsley here now, which is decimated, there's no here. There's only jobs in Barnsley for women, and some women are having to do 2 jobs to survive. There's no industry for men. Well, the miners went on strike because they knew that they were going to close 70 mines and 70,000 jobs were going to go. That 12 months for me and for everybody else, it was hard. I got harassed with the press, obviously, and we started a soup kitchen. I started a soup kitchen. Was one of the first to organise Women Against Pit Closures, to get everybody together. And it was hard. It weren't only out for me, it was out for everybody. But we had something to focus on. We were fighting a woman who we hated, and we were also fighting for survival for our kids and for generations to come. The police, you see, it was a war. We looked at it as a war, because there was state behind us, police behind us, army behind us. But we still soldiered on. And the more that they threw at us, the harder we got.
In 1984, I was working for the National Coal Board, and I was in the white collar section of the NUM. And when the coal came to come on strike for the fight against pit closures, loss of jobs, loss of communities, there were some of us in the white collar section of my union that thought that the call to come out on strike applied to us. So I was on strike for the year. It was at a time when there was a lot of unemployment throughout the country, and people doing a specialised job like mining realised that if they lost those jobs, if they lost the pit, there wouldn't be other jobs to go to. And mining is a special job. It's a job of quite a lot of danger. It's dirty, but it's a job where you work together as a team. There's a lot of camaraderie. There's a lot of loyalty. You tend to live close to your place of work, so the village would be closely identified with the pit. All the little businesses in the village, the shops and the pubs and the hairdressers, would know that their business depended on people working in the pit and having money to spend. So there was a huge collective action that went on for a year to try and stop those pit closures. And people living in mining communities understood the issues and were part of that whole collective fight. It was pretty tough, because you go out on strike and immediately you lose your wages, and the government of the day cut any benefits that you were due to receive. And so people were thrown back on the families. Families were a huge support, providing money and food. You can't be out on strike for a year without the support of your family. You need that emotional and physical support. And when the women's groups got going, they did soup kitchens, they organised food collections and distributed food, put on loads and loads of social things for people to do, concerts, benefits, football matches, jumble sales, anything to raise money and anything to raise the spirits.
Please let the pack, but they were just a host. I know about the strike, we were in 1984 and my granddad was involved. That's how I know about him mostly. He worked at Grimethorpe Colliery, I think. He's going on 70 now. But he were involved in it and he got accused of scabbing, which he wasn't doing, but scabbing was quite a serious thing back then. They took it quite seriously and I don't know what else to say.
I remember my nan saying that when my granddad had stopped working in the mine, that they were all sat on the wall waiting for the police to walk past to throw stuff at them or shout at them and say that what they're doing is wrong. But I guess in a way they weren't, they were just protecting the streets and stuff from people going and getting out and making fires and problems for the people.
Well, I know like it was a while ago, but the effects are still being felt like today, like because Barnsley were built on mining and because now it's gone, everyone's still feeling the after effects, everyone still talks about it and stuff like that.
Just the other day I had a thought in an elevator, how different from a shaft, a miner's shaft. The mines used to supply my family with food and comfort. No longer. Could Britain get any wronger?
My dream is simple, nothing big, nothing special. As I stand here today on this field filled with anger and emotion, I realise we're all human. We only want what is best for one another. We just want our lives back. Why have these rights been taken away from our grasp?
Well, Orgreave happened on June 18th, 1984, and it was a huge picket of a coking plant just outside Barnsley into Rotherham. And the idea was to get as many pickets there as possible to try and make a massive impact and change the direction of the strike. As you'll probably know from other people talking to you, a lot of pickets were stopped from actually picketing by police illegally. Cars would be pulled over and asked to stop. But at Orgreave, we felt that if we could get 5,000, 6,000 pickets there, we'd be able to shut the site down and have an impact like we did at Saltergates in the 70s. And so that was the idea behind the day. It was quite telling that the fact that on that day itself, the police let all the pickets through. In fact, there's stories of them showing them nicely where to park, and everything was really friendly and relaxed. It was only later in the day when the police mounted their huge attack on the miners, and we all think that was trying to send a message through, brute force and violence, that the government wouldn't put up with this sort of picketing anymore. And it worked to a certain extent. A lot of pickets were so scared by the scenes that they saw that day that they didn't return to picket again, not to mention the 90-odd people that were arrested and falsely charged with riot as well. My sort of passion is really, because I work with the unemployed section of the union, I can see clearly what's happened to Barnsley in particular, but also to coalfields across Yorkshire and North East. Now where we used to have pits, we have Costa Coffee and McDonald's and Argos. All these jobs where we used to have well-paid jobs and people used to have dignity and respect at work. Now we've got casualisation and 0 hours contracts. And that's the legacy of the strike. And being a trade unionist, I want to bring back that feeling of collective strength where workers have a voice at work. And I think that the miners' strike and the defeat of the miners had a massive legacy on our communities.
I don't really know a lot about the miners' strike, but I know my granddad worked there. He used to work down the pit, and then he used to drive the trucks that carried the coal.
And has he ever spoken to you about it?
Not a lot. He didn't go into a lot of detail, but I don't think he's that fussed about it anymore because it's over and done with. It's in the past.
That like Margaret Thatcher, she wanted to basically shut out mines of the north and basically to keep more money for south.
And how do you know that?
Because my granddad were a miner and he were in miners' strike.
Has your granddad told you any stories about the miners' strike?
Yeah, but it was mainly my mum who told me from my granddad, and like she said that like that to like scavenge for food because it were really bad, and it was like yeah, I mean, and they just had to yeah.
But I think the thing that upsets me more than anything is what's happening now. 30 years on, we are worse here in this mining town than we've ever been before.
I walked into my father's shadow. He was a better man than me to defend this small country. From a miner to a soldier, he left to go to war, to ensure no threat from wicked men would taint our country's shore. For a year the pit wheel stood still. I noticed his shadow as a lengthy one, a longer one than mine. His medals rest in silence now, to remind me of the time when my dad and others like him came from the darkness to fight and die like lionhearts to drive the threat away. My dad was lucky. He came through the darkness day, but many of his mates on the battlefield they lay. But he never did forget them. He prayed every day, and he remembered at the memorial as the years went on each day. From a miner to a soldier, and again a miner he. That is why I say that my old dad was a better man than me. Although I was a miner just like my dad before, I could never be a superman like my dad was in the war.
500 men sacked for refusing to ever cross a picket line. Voices down the ages warning, never cross a picket line. You must never cross a picket line. Cross a picket line. With their wives and children they stand together. Never cross a picket line. You must never cross a picket line. Look away, look away, look away out west to San Francisco. Look away, look away, look away down south to Sydney Harbour. When the dockers have organised the world's longest picket line. Technically this is an illegal strike, never cross a picket line. But technically workers have no rights, never cross a picket line. You must never cross a picket line. Brand new Britain, never cross a picket line. Where workers' rights are enshrined and written, never cross a picket line. You must never cross a picket line. Look away, look away, look away out west to San Diego. Look away, look away, look away out east to Osaka. The dockers have organised the world's longest picket line. The Tories are gone, but there's no improvement. Never cross a picket line. Now where is the might of the Labour movement? Never cross a picket line. You must never cross a picket line. Look away, look away, look away down south to Auckland City. Look away, look away, look away out west to old Vancouver. With the dockers who've organised the world's longest picket line. For the dockers have realised you must never cross a picket line.